first live this morning, as you know. For whatever reason, YouTube closed the live down. No, didn't say anything about why or reasoning. It just shut down. Um, so I wanted to just finish up on the thoughts that we had. Um, I can see that a lot of my words in the title were switched around, which is insane. Not sure how they could have switched the word start to STAEPRT. Um, but I guess that is what it is. But I'm just going to go over this. I don't expect very many people to be back here. I expect this to kind of be just me talking to myself here for about 20 minutes or so until I get my thoughts out. And then I'm just going to release this, have it released, and do what it's got to do. So, XR, I'm not even going to look at the comments right now, honestly. I will, but I won't in the beginning. Because I want to get through what I want to get through, and I don't feel like having any negative conjecture and whatever. So XRP sitting up 3.44% here, sitting at $2.47. The most important thing you need to know is, yes, we broke out of the short-term consolidation, which could have dropped us down into that $1.72 range, or 67 even, $1.67. Now that we've broken out of this resistance, if we can stay over in real time, that $2.34, now we're going to push up to this death cross that's pushed through. It's at $2.58. I would expect, as we've talked about for the days since the drop, I would expect this retest. Let me go to the other chart. I would expect the retest a little bit higher up. It's not going to go all the way up into that upper region yet. We've got to retest that $2.64 area. So in this chart, as you can see, we've got to retest up in this area from the breakdown. That's where we had the 5-wave correction. It was like the ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4, however you want to talk about it. But it was a 5-wave correction, and it fell out as we expected. Came down to the bottom of the broadening wedge, which was telegraphed. Unfortunately, it filled it out in one shot. Now the question is, does this continue down farther, or have we met our peak performance here? Now the market can start to do what it's meant to do, or do we still have a little bit more of pain here as we are trying to head into November? That's the question that we can't possibly know. That's a question that we're continuing to ask ourselves if this is the time. It's close. There's no doubt about that. It's close. I would have preferred for what happened to happen. That's what I wanted to happen. Now we have to see if we're early still. We still got a couple weeks until November. About a month until that second half of November. About 3.5, 4 weeks until the second half of November. And then we've still got a full 12 to 16 weeks until we even start to be able to talk about Q2 and 25 or 26. So I think we're heading into a very predictable time frame here. We've got gold and silver, which played up very dramatically. It's not over yet, but you're going to start to get some flow from what I think is risk off and risk averse into risk on assets. You'll start to get some of that flip, and I believe that to be true because once we continue to cut out of this quantitative tightening and go back to quantitative easing 100%, which we're about to, and then go into consecutive rate cuts that end up getting us closer and closer to 0%, especially if they start to go a little extraordinary now that we've had the government shutdown. This is just flame for the fire, and it's going to allow us to further push our rates down and continue to pull the blinders over the citizens of the USA who think it's a good thing and don't want their savings rate to go up. Your 10-year yield is now down under 4%. It's a tragedy. We're watching our own inheritances that we pay. We're watching our own savings dwindle right in front of our very eyes. Hey, it's at 4% right now. Look at that. But we're watching it just disintegrate right in front of our very eyes. Gold up $95 a day. I mean, for the ones who said that it's not going to, like we said on Friday, okay, it was a big drop, but now we're going to have the return rally to see if it's a resistance. So there's no point of doing anything, especially because a lot of people were worried about commodities. Dolly Varden, I said, please pay attention at $4.28 on Friday if you haven't bought. It's like the biggest steal out there in the mining sector. They've got 13.2% of their float guaranteed at least $6.50. And some of it's at $9 because they're trying to further get their cash holdings. They've got deals. They've got prospecting deals that have been made where they're going to further explore different areas. So this is going to yield in more gold and silver, mostly silver. So I think it's extremely undervalued. All the world states has agreed, but who has a savings? Anybody but the broke people. Anybody who knows how to manage money has a savings in some way or the other. Either it's sitting in a savings account, a high yield savings account, or it's sitting in an investment style portfolio that they're confident in. And it just, everybody should have a savings. And I used to say the same thing. I'm too broke to have a savings. I know you're not saying that, but I'm saying I used to have that mindset. And the truth is, even when I was only making a few $100s a week, I could have still took 10%. Because the bottom line is I was wasting 10% when I didn't know any better. That's the truth. So even on $200 paycheck, if I would have took $20 a week, you're talking $80 a month, $720 a year. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that's still a savings. You do proper with that $720. Let's say it was in some kind of performing mutual fund that you time the cycle and you understand it. Like right now, the mutual fund that would probably do the best would be anything in the emerging markets, because I think 26 is going to be a real cap. Like not in a bad way of capping. I'm saying they're going to cap. It's going to be flexing its muscle in the emerging market. So you figure a 10% year over year return every 7 years, it doubles. And right now my mutual funds are doing way better than 10% this year. But the point is we can all try to make a savings. And I guarantee we'd make more of an effort if it was at 20%. Would you make more? Let me ask you a question, all the world stage. Would you make more of an effort at a savings account if you were getting 20% on your dollar yearly? I think we can both answer that question. People would make time for a savings account. So, but yeah. Who's got money for crypto then in the same breath, right? But that's why I don't believe in the savings account. I believe in putting it in gold and silver to stay up with the rate of inflation. The savings account, my money's just going to dwindle anyhow. So me personally, I don't trust the banks. I only keep $2,000 or $3,000 in it at any time. I have my other money in my investment portfolio that is FDIC backed, $250K. And obviously, if you get above that, well, you're going to have to open a different one. So if my JP Morgan goes over the allotment, I'm going to open my Charles Schwab back up, and then I'll send some over there. And then if that fills up, well, that's a good problem to have. I'll go to a third entity up to $250K. So, I agree. Nobody's really got money right now. That's the problem. So, yeah, it might be a moot point for retail because we're broke as fuck anyhow. But that's why I've been trying to push the message of metals to stay out in front. But also why I want them to raise the savings rate so we have something. Why do you think we have no money? There's no savings rate. Most people are not like us coming in here every single day and understanding investing or even understanding crypto or the mining sector, commodities or precious. Most people don't have a clue. None. Zero. So when we speak of it, we're like just thinking that everybody's doing this. 99% are not, especially in retail. If you go house to house and do a survey and see how many people have gold, and just a tenth of an ounce of gold, I can't think of anybody that I talk to on a regular basis that even has any interest in it, let alone owns it. Oh yeah, I talked about it on Facebook about the gap in the Bitcoin to gold ratio. I think it's hit a historic level. Definitely looking spicy, crypto plumber. And that doesn't mean, guys, gold's going to drop. That means crypto is in for a rally here with Bitcoin, if this is any indicator. Because normally we would have a similar style rally unless it's in high times of instability, which is what's happening right now. But I don't know. It's all a matter of your own, it's all a matter of your own interpretation. A lot of people ask me, is gold and silver top? Do you think the U.S. is finally going to start doing right by us with money? Is the dot clock going down or up? As long as that dot clock is going up, I think you can go to dotclock.org or some bullshit. I look at it every now and then, but it's just depressing. Because because everybody's moronic when it comes to this, and they're like, oh, we're fine, that's the government's debt. Well, actually, that's our debt that the government owes us. Did you know that? Did you guys know that our debt that it shows for the U.S.'s debt is actually what they've stolen from the USA? What if I told you that? This is actually a chart of what they've stole from us. U.S. total debt. We have our total debt's 104 trillion 940 billion 637 million 900 make that 638 million. We're up to 104.9 trillion. Oh boy. U.S. federal tax revenue 5 trillion 256 billion 365 million, and the U.S. national debt is 37 trillion 919 billion. So 37.9 trillion, and we take in 5.2 trillion from tax revenue. We don't take anything in imports. We're on a very big negative there. U.S. imported oil is negative. The U.S. trade, look at U.S. debt held by foreign countries, 9.3 trillion. U.S. trade deficit, 1.3 trillion. Isn't that what that is? 1 trillion, 381 billion, 356 million. Yeah, 1.3 trillion. U.S. trade deficit to China, 259.6 billion. Oh yeah, those tariffs are really hurting. U.S. imported oil, negative. We owe 175 billion. Would you? I mean, look at this. This is horrendous. Precious metal reserves, which I don't even believe we have, 1 trillion 248 billion 408 million. So 1.2 trillion is our precious metals holdings. 76 trillion in real estate, which I don't even believe that anymore because we're selling it off to other players. But anyhow, we're so far backwards. This isn't. Look at this. Would you, if this was your portfolio, which it might be, how would you feel about this? I'd say we're in some very serious shit here. Medicare, Medicaid, 1.7 trillion. How are you giving out Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security if we have 37.9 trillion in debt? That's the underlying issue, and 105 trillion in total debt. How you doing it? That means, I mean, look it. It ain't coming from all of this. It isn't coming from here. We got bankruptcies, U.S. foreclosures, living in poverty, without insurance. I'm one of them. There's 62 million U.S. retirees, but 65 million people are enrolled on Medicaid or Medicare. 8 million people are disabled. 89.2 million are on Medicaid. Let me read that again. There's 8 million disabled people in the USA, according to these statistics, but 89 million people are on Medicaid. You see a problem here? The top 1% take up $19,614,000 per person. The bottom 50%. Yeah, go take a look at all of that if you want to have a real fun time. Oh, I know, it's crazy. Kenan, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Mark Caston, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, along with 1970 legend, our fellow Buckeye. And also a very trusted mod in here. I really appreciate you, my friend. I seen we got a gifted sub, Joseph Euler, not only in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor, but also gifting a paid membership. Patrick and Nikki, congratulations on your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Euler. Calvin, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, along with Crypto Cooter. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. Mike B, thanks for being in Tom's Army along with All World Stage, 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Ben Graham, good, welcome back. Poppy Lou, Dan Marginal, thanks for being in Townsend for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. And Areli, I'm glad to see you're back in here as well. Hamza, welcome in. Aaron Reynolds, welcome along with the Cannabis Podcast. Welcome back. And Ken A, thanks for being in Townsend 6+ months with the XP Predictor. I think we're all caught up here. Are there any countries not in debt? There's a few. There's a couple. Not many, but the ones that aren't run by the central banks, basically. Anybody who has a central bank are in debt. No, I didn't say countries with debt. That's all debt. They put the USA, countries without debt. We have 25.8 trillion at that time. Now it's well over it. The best example can be taken from Hong Kong. It is one of the debt-free countries whose economy has the least debt to GDP ratio. It is an almost debt-free country that has a well-regulated financial system and large foreign reserves. What country is number one in debt? You guessed it. Who owns over 70% of the U.S. debt? More than 2/3 of public debt is held by domestic holders, including owners of savings bonds. Oh boy. Countries with the lowest national debt. Might surprise you some of the numbers, some of the countries. Mako SAR 0%. So them. Kuwait 3%. Gross domestic. So their GDP's down at 3, 2. Yeah. So these are some of the better ones, but you know, some are. Some countries that don't depend on this system are doing just fine. You get out to the Cook Islands and all those good places. You said no negativity. Well, Nancy, I don't know what to tell you if you're already getting offended by what I'm saying. You're going to have to fancy somewhere else if you're trying to stir up some bullshit here. Because that seems to be what you guys like to do, player. Go find another layer if that's the case, friend. XRP, that's the same parameters we talked about when we started. 106,000 underneath, but we have that 106.8 gap that is, if we don't end up pushing through here with Bitcoin, it could very well fall back into there. It really could. That divergence is still here, which is nice to see. But we'll see if this continues to play, because if this doesn't round out and it just falls through, it's going to end up changing that perspective. Let's see, the Gatman, welcome in for over 3 years now in Tom's Army with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. I don't know. Displaced is Bob just because he's around. See more and more Bobs popping out as well each and every day. I will say sometimes it gets a bit perplexing. Like, you try to push a message, you try to push some stuff, and then just the responses you get, it's like, you see it's the same though. You get the same kind of messaging from the same kind of mindsets and the same kind of predictive program people. And you get the same offended by the same people who, we live in a world of softness. That's basically all I can tell you. We live around a bunch of paper plates. And in the past, we had a bunch of glass around us. Now it's basically, we're as thin as toilet paper. We have less heart. You know, we have less motivation. We have less understanding. We all want to play the victim. Everybody thinks the government owes them everything. You can't feed yourself. You expect